Knicks, as of recording, 19-7. They're second in the Eastern Conference, quietly making some ground on the Detroit Pistons at the top of the conference, but second in offense, 15th in defense, third in net rating overall, per the good folks at Cleaning the Glass. They are fresh off of a buzzer-beating win, but overall, they are fresh off of the NBA Cup victory over the San Antonio Spurs, 11-point win there. Jalen Brunson was excellent. OG Anunoby was excellent. Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns named to the all-tournament team for NBA Cup play, so salute to them. And I think just with this Knicks group, felt like a time to check back in with them because they continue to look comfortable. They continue to find themselves on both ends of the floor. Starting to see a little bit more lineup experimentation, which is exciting to me with this Knicks group. But one, I just kind of start with the offense. I know we've talked about it before, but like the broader strokes of this group to where there has been a lot more emphasis on maybe not overall pace, and I have some fun numbers on that front, but we need to give ourselves more wiggle room in the half court. We need a little bit more organization. We want some flow. But overall, let's get a little bit more wiggle room. We have a lot of talent. We have a lot of talent that can be used in different ways together. Let's make sure we actually have time to do so and to explore and experiment and to ultimately bend and break down defenses and create open looks.
Well, let's hang right there. Let's hang right there for a second, because I think the biggest thing that Coach Mike Brown did was not just pace, as people wanted to say. It was tempo in the half court. And I think the tempo has led to this stretch where last 10 games, top 3 in offense. They've been a top offensive team. And it's something we've talked about in the preseason, during the season. We've been tracking this team all year long, so it's been surprising. The thing about the tempo is it's getting the ball up early. It's having multiple people who can get it up and go. Like grab and go possessions from Josh Hart, OG Anunoby. You want to deny Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges will bring the ball up and we'll get into what we want. And then what New York does in early offense is just we have triggers to what we're going to do. We're going to have a guard come and set a screen, and then we'll have a guard come from the other wing and set another screen. We'll do dribble handoff at half court with the wings clear to kind of have spacing. We'll have Jalen Brunson screen for Josh Hart or Mikal Bridges early in the clock. That will get us and tell us, hey, we've started what we're doing. And the thing that they've built on all year long, I think you've seen it during this entire stretch, but I think specifically Cup final against the Spurs, even their last game against the Pacers when they didn't have a lot of people in, we're getting to the next action. We're comfortable getting to the next action. We're thriving when we get to the next action. And then it's not with an element of, oh, we're bogged down, although physicality can bother them, but it's more of okay, we're flowing. We're going to keep pressure on you. I think that opens so much up for them to where, okay, I don't necessarily know when Jalen Brunson's going to get the ball back, but he may get the ball back before we're fully loaded up, and now he's attacking a different way. Mikal Bridges, his screens can pop more. The cutting can have more of an impact. So I think their sustained flow and their ability to believe in that consistently has allowed them to even thrive in a night against the Pacers where guys are out of the lineup because they have a comfort with what they're doing offensively. So I just wanted to make sure that people understand the tempo point is so important to what they're doing flow-wise to survive and thrive offensively. Continue.
There you go. And just to bounce off of that, Steve, because I think that was very well said. And like to the numbers portion of the program, last year, in terms of average time it takes for a team to cross half court, the Knicks were 27th, took 4.5 seconds on average. Shave a few tenths of a second off, you go from 27th to 14th. Is that the fastest in the league? No. But going from towards the bottom to the middle of the pack gives you more wiggle room to the tempo point. They haven't become like last year's Pacers. That gives them more room in terms of the average time it takes for them to get into their first action. As you mentioned, the early handoffs, the early screens from Mikal Bridges and others, they were 28th in the average time to first action last year, up to 17th this year. Again, is that the fastest in the league? Absolutely not. Closer to average. But it helps with the flow. And so then overall, in terms of average possession length, how long are these trips averaging, landing? They were 28th last year. They're 27th this year. So they can still, to your point, we will flow and we will find something. We still have Jalen Brunson, to a lesser degree, Karl-Anthony Towns. We still have these possession enders. But because we have better tempo, we're getting it up earlier, we're getting into actions earlier, we're now able to flow into more things. And if all else fails, we still have these two guys that can get us a bucket, get to the free throw line, or both in the best case scenario. And then even looking at those kind of possessions on trips that end in the last 8 seconds of a shot clock. They were 7th last year in terms of points per possession on that front, but they led the league in those possessions per game. This year, that's dropped to 4th, so still pretty high volume, but not as often, and they're more efficient on those trips, which again speaks to we have more flow, we have more tempo, and we still have these possession enders when necessary. And so I just really want to just more so highlight what you have already pointed out, what you noted there. And it's fun to see like the numbers also bear that kind of thing out.
Yeah, and I think it speaks to kind of just everyone being empowered within this offense to kind of make plays. Like you see them go side to side real quick. You see them get off the ball real quick. You see just a lot of movement. Like I think when you watch the Knicks, you got to respect their random movement, their random cuts. It's not just the, okay, here's a pick and roll, we're cutting from the wing. It's in transition. Mikal Bridges does it all the time. Runs and run on one wing, goes to the other side. They use it to kind of just confuse defenses, take away nail help, but also take away backline help. So if you're looking at the ball and your man is either on the wing or it looks like he's flowing to the corner and you think, okay, this is my responsibility, all of a sudden he's on the other side. If you didn't catch that and switch it soon enough, it opens up a different portal for the Knicks. So it's one of those things where the Knicks keep pressure on you in that way. And they do it randomly too. Like, I think that's one of the big things that Josh Hart has helped with. Like, okay, if I don't have anything and I'm over here with two other people, I'm getting out. So I'm going to dive out of the swing. I'm going to get out of here. Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson, anyone, they'll exchange on the weak side. So there's just an element of them moving things around just enough. And you combine that with everyone just kind of being a little bit of a threat offensively. And so I enjoy, like, Mikal Bridges feels like you never know when his pick and roll is going to be live. You never know when his cut's going to be live. You never know when his screen is going to be a pop from mid-range. OG's cuts and now his post-ups and his drives off of random flow where, you know, Jalen Brunson has it. He sees nail help, kicks to OG, you have a drive. They've just kind of made everyone live. And that's kind of why you see it, someone like Tyler Kolek having the stretch he's having to where, okay, I understand what I'm supposed to do in the offense. I keep things moving, but there's also room for me to attack and grow within that. You see Jordan Clarkson becoming more comfortable of late, understanding, well, I mean, that's kind of what he does, but, oh, I can do this. Yeah. And so that's where I think you're seeing now everything just kind of continue to build for the Knicks in a positive way.
No, I'm glad you hit on not just the spacing portion, but like the movement portion of the program. Because I think we're not too far off from one of the prime games, and Jalen Brunson was talking to Udonis Haslem, and UD was pointing out one of the cuts from Mikal Bridges where he just went from like one corner to the other in the middle of that. And Jalen Brunson's like, dog, y'all did that against us. What are you talking about? You just wanted to say that. Very funny moment. But like, it also just kind of speaks to, you know, to your point, there is a level of randomness in terms of you don't know when these cuts are going to happen. And it's not just, you know, if we're going to make the Miami comp, like some of these cuts for them are automatic. If someone's bringing up this side of the floor, we are going here. And then we start the wheel, et cetera, et cetera. With guys like Mikal Bridges, like there is a basic understanding of this is where we want guys to be. These are the spots that we want filled. But you never know when it's going to hit. And so your point about not knowing when a Mikal cut or Mikal action in general being live, I think is a really strong one. And I think Mikal Bridges obviously has not been the best player for the New York Knicks this year, but he kind of feels like the face of what these changes are in a way. I hope that makes sense. Because like he just kind of exemplifies, oh, we want tempo. Here's this transition guy who can drive, who can space, who can dive from the wing, can also be used as a screener. Okay, we want to flow side to side. Here's a guy, Mikal Bridges. Like, you don't want to give him 25 pick and rolls a game. I guess except for that stretch when he first got to Brooklyn. You could do that because he was just shooting a letter off the ball. But, like, no, we don't want to do that all the time, but he can. And he can help us keep things moving. And so, like, I just love that he's kind of been the face of this, and he has responded with one of the most, if not the most efficient season of his career. And I think that overall empowerment permeates through the rest of this roster. Like, I'm glad you brought up Tyler Kolek. We're not too far removed, at least for me, like watching that Knicks Raptors game in the quarterfinals. And second quarter comes, and here's just Tyler Kolek driving all over the place. It's like, well, one, I'm glad he's playing because we surely didn't see much of that last season. But on top of that, the fact that he has the freedom and the aggression to say, okay, this is the space. I know where guys are going to be. This is a matchup. I know I can win. I can get downhill and generate something good. It's a breath of fresh air for this Knicks offense. And this is where they were good last year. They're a little bit better this year, but it also just feels so much different than last season. And I think that's where it kind of pops.
Well, yeah. I mean, they had movement sets last year. The problem was it took 16 seconds for them to get to the movement and another 12 to move. So you feel a much better version of it. And I think it allows them to kind of play through different games and different scenarios. And I think that's highlighted in this recent stretch because the Spurs had a little bit of control of that Cup final game. They had a little bit of control of the tempo, but the Knicks being able to kind of continue to fire away, continue to believe in what they do, that stands out. You play Indiana, we don't have people, but we know what we do. And I think that's where you see the growth of a team over the course of the year. And I think that's the biggest thing for the Knicks. They've talked about it. They've figured it out. They've felt it out. They've made adjustments. And I think this sets them up for positivity down the line because they have a nice little version of lineup versatility that I don't know if people respect enough or understand enough, because we can, if we have to, go double big. We can play Josh Hart at the 4. We can play OG at the 4. We can play these 3-guard lineups featuring Brunson, Clarkson, Kolek, or Brunson, Deuce, or, you know what I mean? You could put together different combinations to where, okay, we have 3 guards out here. We have a little bit of defense. We have some size. We have Mitchell Robinson, crashing the glass. They just mash things together. And I think that kind of flexibility will pay off down the line for them, because the regular season, the journey of the regular season is about figuring out who you are, understanding what you do well, responding to, difficult moments. I don't think we get this Knicks stretch if they don't get beat up by Orlando early in the season. Like, I don't think we get here without Orlando just kind of bringing them into the mud a little bit. But the playoffs, you're going to have to navigate through different matchups. You have to navigate through needing different things on both ends of the floor. And I think them being able to experiment is going to allow them to understand, okay, this is what we do really well, but if we need this, I can go to this lineup. If we need more of that, I can go to this lineup, and we can still maintain what we do. That's something where it felt like before, hey, this is our lineup. Hey, Josh Hart, are you going to make threes?
Oh, no.
Well, there's just more of a feel of flexibility for New York this year.
Yeah, I like that. I actually wanted to ask you a question, because I think we both throughout this podcast kind of sprinkled in some Cat conversations or some Cat thoughts. Where are you at with Cat and his usage in this Knicks offense now compared to earlier in the season?
You took my question for you from me in a way that I am not sure how I feel about. But I'm not as worried about the Karl-Anthony Towns portion, because I think you can always get him going to a degree. And I think it's more important that they have everything else in place. And then, hey, Cat, here's some more elbow touches. Hey, here's some more dribble handoffs from the top. Hey, here's a post up. Here's some room for you to drive. Like, you can do that and do that on top of what you've built, as opposed to taking what you built and trying to force the Cat stuff in there. And so it's a tricky balancing act. And we've seen at times where the Knicks have decided to lean, okay, no, we need to get Cat going. Slows him down a little bit. Gets a little tricky. Okay, so maybe we not do that much, but we need to keep him an emphasis because we need him to score. So it's not something where I've just been like, man, he's struggling. He can't find it. I've never had that feel about it. It just kind of feels like they're Mike Brown's tried to build this up, get them to play the right way, get them to play off of each other, get them to flow. And some of that is going to take touches away from almost everybody to a degree, but it's going to enhance it in the long run.
Yeah, okay, I like that.
What about you? Because you were team, hey, I don't know how we're getting Cat involved. And then you're like, hey, they are getting Cat involved. So where is your standpoint right now?
I am feeling better about it. And again, sorry for taking the question. I didn't mean to step on your toes there. But I am feeling
you're good. I'm doing banter.
I know. I am also doing banter. But no, I feel better about the Cat portion. I think you zoom out overall this year, he was around 60 touches per game last year. He's down to 54 this year. So to your point about everyone's getting a little bit more of a piece of the pie, offense kind of shifted in terms of how they want to spread things out. And Cat was an early portion of taking the hit there. And as we talked about earlier this year, it was, again, drawing another parallel to the Miami thing. So I guess like Cat would be Bam in this case, where it's like, okay, we know we can get to this. I didn't like the flow of when they were getting to it, because it felt like flow. Oh, right, we got to get Cat involved. Here's 3 straight elbow touches for Cat, or 3 straight post-ups for Cat. And it's like, well, we want him involved. It's not like that. It's kind of like the classic like 2K thing you're playing with your friends. They miss you a few times, and it's like, oh, snap, my bad. Here, you just bring the ball up. And it's like, well, no. I'm not asking to run the offense. I'm just saying I'm open. Just pass to me when I'm open so I can take this catch and shoot shot. You know what I mean? And so, like, with Cat, the thing that I've enjoyed as of late, and like we saw flashes of it in the early season, but like it feels more consistent to me in my watching, is that as you talk about the flow with the New York Knicks, it feels like more, Brunson Cat pick and roll early. It's not a real one, but like we're just going to get you moving. And then we're going to go to the other side. And we're going to try to attack. And if we don't have it, now here's Cat flashing to the elbow, and now it's Cat initiating something. someone's cutting off of him or he gets to attack, or maybe it's another pitch back to Jalen Brunson for another pick and roll, but it's with an empty side. And now this is the real one. And now you don't know what you want to do as a defense. It's just like a little bit of token usage to make sure you are a part of this possession, even if it isn't for you. And then if it doesn't work, we still involve you later in the possession. I think that factors into, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, the Knicks on possessions that finished in the last 8 seconds of the shot clock, they are more efficient than they were last year. And I think the types of possessions or the types of endings to these possessions have shifted a little bit to where it's a little bit more defined. Like we're going to get Cat as like the second or third wave of this in some kind of way, whether it's just an elbow touch, you go to work, whether it's just you get to drive, or you are flowing into a 2-man action with someone. And so it's kind of a way to not turn this into, you know, a Jokic type offense, a Sabonis type offense. Like you are just the hub, you're running the lay, or you're at the elbow, and we just run around you. They sprinkle that stuff in, but when they sprinkle it in, it feels more impactful. And so like I'm starting to feel a lot better about the flow of all of this with Karl-Anthony Towns. And I think that plus the fact that he is hitting threes again, like the efficiency bump is just coming, but I just feel better about the overall flow of all this stuff with Cat.
Yeah, I understand. That's good. And I think for me, this is when the standings start to stabilize, teams make a run, start to think playoff wise, how many of these questions are you starting to answer? Mm-hmm. And I feel like a lot of the offensive ones are getting checked off. Not perfect, but they're getting checked off. And now defensively, there's a compete level that's raised up. There are things they're still going to have to solve as more teams present them issues. But I think the Knicks have put themselves in a strong position, guys.
I like it. Can you indulge me for like a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes?
Maybe, depending on what you do.
I just because you mentioned the two big lineups and just the overall versatility for the New York Knicks. And I just want to say, Mitchell Robinson on the offensive glass is such a monster, Steve. He is so good at what he does. And like the actual numbers absurd as of recording, averaging 4.5 offensive rebounds per game in under 18 minutes a night. He's third in the NBA in offensive rebounding so far. But like the way that he goes about it is it's fun when watching Knicks games, man. Like whether they're playing well and then he just makes you feel worse, or they're off to a sluggish start and then he checks in. Either way, like I go back to, and we talked about this before, where the Knicks played New York, where the Knicks played the Heat in back-to-back games, but that first game, and Mitchell Robinson just eats Khalil Ware's lunch to the point where Udonis Haslem's like, hey, I text Khalil Ware after the game. Like, I need you to watch that tape and see what he did to you. And in watching that tape, the amount of early work that Mitchell Robinson does, no matter where he is astounding. If he's in the dunker spot area and someone's behind him, like he is moseying under to get inside of the defender. You try to box him out, no. And like now the only way to get the ball is to reach over Mitchell Robinson. You're putting yourself in foul trouble if you're trying to do that. In addition to him just being 7'1", he can jump and he has long arms, so you can't really get the ball anyway. But like the early positioning that he gets there. And then when he's behind someone, the somewhat subtle, but not too subtle bumps that he gets into because he's just darting down to get hands on someone. But then he kind of shows his hands, but because of the momentum and how strong he is, he's still moving people out of the way. And then it's just tap city. He either grabs it or he's tapping it to himself and he's slapping it back behind him. He's just so good at the art of offensive rebounding. And for a Knicks group that is as efficient as they are offensively, on the nights where they don't have the shots falling, have a guy that can say, actually, I will just swing this game 4 minutes at a time. We just saw it in the Cup final to where the Spurs had absolutely no answer for Mitchell Robinson on the offensive glass. I just wanted to salute him and the work that he's doing on that front.